Picture the business: a big indoor arena, a smooth winding track, a fleet of sleek electric carts humming under bright lights. People pay $30 for 8 minutes of pure adrenaline, and they come back again and again. On weekends, the place is packed. Companies book the whole track for team nights and pay a premium. Add a snack bar, an arcade, a party room, and at full throttle, the margins on a busy track are enormous. It sounds like the perfect entertainment business, an adrenaline machine that prints money. It is not, because the very thing that makes the money, that fleet of carts, is also the thing that quietly eats the business alive. On a go-kart track, the cost of maintaining and repairing the carts can start at around 60% of your revenue. And a serious indoor facility, a real state-of-the-art track with a fleet of electric carts, can cost around $12 million to build. You are not opening a track. You are buying a fleet of little machines whose entire job is to crash, over and over, for a living. By the end of this video, you will know what a track actually costs, why the carts are both your product and your biggest bill, and why one single number, how many races you run, decides whether you get rich or go broke. Start with what you are actually buying, because it comes in two very different sizes. At the small end, a modest outdoor track on land you already own, a few hundred meters of racing surface, a simple building for check-in and cart storage, and a fleet of a dozen or so carts, can be built for around $500,000 to $800,000. That is the entry point. At the big end, it gets serious fast. A more ambitious outdoor facility, with a longer track and full amenities, runs $1.5 to $3 million, and a top-tier competitive track can pass $5 million. And the modern dream, a state-of-the-art indoor arena with a fleet of electric carts, timing systems, and a full entertainment center wrapped around it, can reach around $12 million before you sell a single lap. Then there is the fleet itself. Recreational carts run about $2,000 to $4,000 each, and serious racing machines with a proper chassis and engine climb past $5,000 to $10,000. A real track needs a fleet of 20 or more, so before anything else, the carts alone are a small fortune. You also choose your engine. Gas carts are cheaper to buy but thirsty and loud, and indoors they need expensive ventilation to clear the fumes. Electric carts cost more up front, but run for a fraction of the price and need far less maintenance. Whatever you pick, hold this one fact. You just bought a fleet of vehicles that people will deliberately crash into walls and into each other, all day, every day. You inherit a fleet, a big building, and a wall of fixed costs. Start with the fleet. Those carts are not furniture. They are worked hard, driven by strangers who brake late and bump on purpose, and they wear out. Tires, brakes, chains or batteries, bodywork, engines, all of it degrades with every session, and a cart in the repair bay is a cart earning nothing. Then the building. A track needs a large footprint, and whether you rent it or built it, that space is a heavy fixed cost every month. That rent, or the loan on that $12 million arena, arrives whether the track is packed or empty. Then insurance. You are running a business where customers travel at speed and collide for fun. The liability is real, and the premiums show it. And underneath all of it, you inherit a brutal kind of math. Your costs are mostly fixed, and mostly large. So the more races you run, the wider you spread them. Your revenue depends entirely on how many people you can get through the carts. When the track is full, that fixed cost is spread across thousands of races, and you mint money. When it is quiet, that same fixed cost crushes you. There is very little middle ground. A go-kart track has several income streams, and the smart owner runs all of them. Layer 1. The races. Walk-in customers pay for a session on the track, arrive and drive, one race at a time. This is the base, the direct sale of laps, and the price per race is high for the few minutes it lasts. Layer 2. Leagues and memberships. Regular racers who come every week, join a league, chase a lap time, and pay to belong. These are your loyal, repeat customers, and they fill the quiet weeknights that would otherwise sit empty. Layer 3. The high-margin one. Corporate events and private parties. A company books the whole track for a team night. A birthday group takes over for an afternoon. Groups pay premium rates, they fill weekday slots, and they spend heavily on food and drink while they are there. This is where a lot of the real profit lives. Layer 4. Everything around the track. A snack bar and a bar. An arcade, virtual reality booths, even laser tag. These raise the money each visitor spends, and they pull in people who would never come just to race, but discover the karts once they are inside. Food and drink alone can add 15 to 30% to a facility's revenue. Stack it together and the pattern is clear. The races are the engine, but the parties, the leagues, and the food and drink are what turn a busy track into a genuine cash machine. Here is the part that catches almost everyone. The karts are your star attraction and your single biggest cost. At the same time, on a go-kart track, maintaining and repairing that fleet can start at around 60% of your revenue. 60%. Out of every dollar that comes through the door, more than half can go straight back into keeping the karts running. Listen to that again. The thing customers pay to use is the thing that is eating most of the money they pay. Every hard brake wears a pad. Every wall tap bends bodywork. Every hour on track wears tires and drains batteries or burns fuel. A kart in the shop earns nothing while it costs you parts and labor. So you are not really running a racetrack. You are running a busy vehicle repair shop that happens to sell laps. And that changes how you must think about the whole business. The owner who wins is not the one with the flashiest track. It is the one who keeps the most karts running the most hours for the least cost. Fleet management is the entire game. Turn the page to what leaves the account, and one line towers over the rest. Kart maintenance and parts. As we just saw, this is the giant. The line that can start near 60% of revenue. Tires, brakes, batteries or fuel, chains, bodywork, and the mechanics who fit them. This is the heartbeat of the ledger. Then rent, or the mortgage on the building. A large fixed cost that does not move, on a facility that weighs against every race you run. Then payroll. Race marshals for safety, mechanics to keep the fleet alive, front desk and party staff, people to run a fast-moving, higher-risk operation. Then insurance, a serious line for a business built on collisions. Then power, especially for an electric fleet, charging between sessions, and lighting a big arena. Then marketing, to keep the track full in a market where a quiet track dies. And notice the squeeze, a wall of fixed costs, rent and payroll and insurance, plus one enormous variable cost, the karts, that rises the more you use them. To cover the fixed costs, you need volume. But volume is exactly what wears out the fleet. That tension is the whole ledger. Here is the trap, and it is a vice with two jaws. First jaw, the fixed cost. You have signed a lease, or borrowed millions, on a big building. That cost is enormous, and it never sleeps. To cover it, you need to run a huge number of races. Below a certain level of traffic, you lose money every single month, no matter what. Second jaw, the fleet. The only way to cover those fixed costs is volume. More drivers, more races, more hours on track. But every one of those races wears out the karts and drives that maintenance bill up towards 60% and beyond. The very thing that saves you from the fixed costs is the thing that feeds your largest variable cost. So you are caught. Run the track quiet, and the fixed costs bury you. Run it flat out, and the maintenance bill soars, while the karts break down faster than you can fix them. The sweet spot, packed enough to cover the building, but disciplined enough to keep the fleet healthy and cheap, is narrow, and it moves every time a kart hits a wall. Miss it on either side, and a $12 million dream becomes a $12 million hole. To understand this business, go back to a garage in Southern California in 1956. And meet the man who started it all by accident. Art Ingalls built race cars for a company called Curtis Craft, one of the great builders of Indianapolis 500 machines. In his spare time, in his own garage, Ingalls welded together a tiny lightweight frame from scrap steel tubing. His friend Lou Borelli bolted on a surplus two-stroke lawnmower engine. And with that, the first go-kart in history was born. A serious race car builder's idea of fun, powered by the motor off a lawnmower. Ingalls took his little machine to a local parking lot to show it off, and soon he and his friends were holding impromptu races in the empty parking lot of the Rose Bowl. The thing was addictive. Everyone who saw it wanted one. Within 2 years, the first proper kart track was built, and a home-built toy had become a national craze. Read what happened next, because it is the shape of this whole business. The fun spread like wildfire. Tracks opened everywhere, and an entire industry grew up around a machine that started with a lawnmower engine in one man's garage. The demand was explosive and real. But turning that thrill into a business that survives has always come down to the same unglamorous thing: keeping a fleet of hard-used little machines running. So watch how a go-kart track dies, because there are two ways, and they feed each other. First, the empty track. An owner, dazzled by the boom, overbuilds a $12 million palace in a market that cannot fill it. The huge fixed costs demand a flood of racers that never quite shows up. Every month, the building costs the same whether 10 people race or 10,000, and a track running half-empty just bleeds out, no matter how beautiful it is. Second, the maintenance spiral, and it is nastier. As the karts age and get hammered, more of them break. A broken kart is off the track earning nothing, so fewer karts are running, so revenue falls. But the bills do not fall. Short on cash, the owner skimps on maintenance, so more karts break, so fewer run, so revenue falls further. Round and round it goes, a fleet slowly grinding itself to a halt. Now put the two together. A track carrying heavy fixed costs, with a fleet it can no longer afford to maintain, in a market where the novelty has cooled. Fixed costs it cannot cut, a variable cost it cannot control, and falling traffic. That is not a slow decline. That is a business folding in on itself. So who survives, and how? The winners run this like a fleet operation, not a fun park. 1. They obsess over throughput. Every hour the track is open, they are filling it with walk-ins, leagues, corporate groups, and parties, squeezing the maximum number of races out of the day to spread those heavy fixed costs as wide as possible. 2. They master the fleet. They often run electric karts for lower running costs and less maintenance. They keep mechanics on staff, they buy parts smart, and they treat kart uptime as the number that matters most. Keeping the fleet running cheap is the difference between profit and ruin. 3. They milk the high-margin layers. Corporate bookings, private parties, food and drink, and an arcade around the track, because the racing covers the building, and these layers are where the profit actually stacks up. 4. They right-size the build. A smart operator does not always build the $12 million palace. They match the facility to the market, so the fixed costs stay something the traffic can realistically cover. An owned lot or a cheap lease beats a trophy building every time. None of that is about loving to race. It is throughput, fleet discipline, high-margin events, and a building you can actually fill. Get those 4 right, and the karts print money instead of eating it. So does owning a go-kart track work. Let us run it, and treat this as a model, not a real track. You open a right-sized indoor track with a fleet of electric karts. In a good year, you run at high volume. Walk-ins pack the weekends, leagues fill the weeknights, corporate parties book the days, and the arcade and bar catch the extra spending. Your throughput is high, so the fixed costs are easily covered, and because you run electric karts and manage the fleet tightly, that huge maintenance line stays under control. Full and well run, the fixed cost math works in your favor, and the track throws off serious profit. That is the good year. Now the other side, a slow year, or a market with one track too many. Traffic softens, and suddenly the building is only half full. The fixed costs do not care. They arrive in full. Meanwhile, the karts you bought are aging, breakdowns climb, and the maintenance bill eats deeper into a shrinking revenue. That fixed cost math, which felt like magic on the way up, now works brutally in reverse. The same fixed costs that multiplied your profit now multiply your losses. But here is the real verdict. A go-kart track is a high fixed cost machine bolted to a high maintenance fleet, and it lives or dies on one thing: volume. Run it full, with a disciplined fleet, and it is a powerful cash machine. Run it half empty, or let the karts fall apart, and the same math that could make you rich turns around and buries you instead. So the honest answer is this: in the right size, in a busy market, with the fleet managed like a hawk, and the track full from open to close, a go-kart track can be a great business. But it is unforgiving. It punishes the empty track and the neglected fleet without mercy, and the bigger you build, the harder that punishment lands. It is a repair shop that sells speed, and the karts have to keep running. So look again at what you really bought. Not the adrenaline, not the sleek karts or the winding track, or the 8 minutes of pure speed your customers pay for. That is the show, loud and fast and thrilling. You bought a fleet of small machines that exist to be crashed, and a bill for keeping them running that can swallow most of what comes in. You bought a big expensive building whose costs never pause, that only makes sense when it is full. And you bought a single hard rule that governs everything, that you must run enough races to cover the building without running the carts into the ground. A go-kart track owner is not really selling races. They are running a repair shop for a fleet of tiny race cars, hoping the crowd stays big enough to pay for all the crashing, on a floor that costs the same whether it is empty or full. Keep the carts running and the track packed, and the speed pays. Let either one slip, and it is the fastest way to lose money ever built.